Let's take a look at the 8 in the Enneagram. The 8 is part of the gut triad or instinctual center of the Enneagram. The instinctual center or the gut triad, they see injustice in the world, and when they see this injustice, they feel anger. But unlike the other two numbers in the gut triad, the 8 actually uses the anger to fight against the injustice, and they allow themselves to feel the anger. So the way that I explain it is that they take on this anger and they go push it back out. And so the 8 is seen as someone who challenges the system but also protects those against the injustice. So an 8 is someone who sometimes is called a bull, someone who is strong and grounded and will charge forward against that injustice. So the fear of the 8 is of being at risk or controlled. Another way of seeing it is vulnerability, but some 8s don't like that word. So let's just focus on the being at risk. So if you are fearful of being at risk and you feel so much anger against injustice, you want to make sure that you are strong and impenetrable, that you are this bull that will protect themselves and those around them against the injustice. So you can see how this all plays in hand. People often say that 8s are intimidating or domineering. People can sometimes steer clear of 8s or not want to get in an argument or just find them really intense. So often 8s say to me, I don't even know what I just did. I just asked them a question. They just ran off. Or, everyone's so sensitive around me. I can't say anything. And so it's not only the words they say, but the way they say it. So my dad's an 8, and the way that he explains it is I can ask why in two ways. I can ask, why is that? Or, why did you do that? But in his intention, it's the gentleness, it's just a question, but it's the way that people perceive it because of that intensity, that bull within him. So a challenge for the 8 of growth is about being aware of their perception, how people perceive them. So the difference between their intention and perception, that's very important. But also to never lose who they are. So not also to apologize for being an 8, but how to do it well, how to do it with the true sincerity of justice, of truth. So their gift is truth, but we can say truths in a whip, in a very condescending, very intense way, or we can be truthful with kindness and generosity and sincerity. So that's the thing that the 8 really has to work on in their life, is how to do what they do with kindness. So it comes as no surprise that the 8's behavioural style is assertive. They assert themselves in the place. They assert themselves when they walk into a room or, let's say, a Zoom meeting. The thing about 8s is that not all of them actually want the attention. Now, of course, there may be some 8s that want the attention when they walk into a room, but not all 8s. But when an 8 walks into a room, people notice them. And not necessarily, again, as I said, because they want to be noticed, but because it's that strength. It's this bull walking in saying, I'm here, I'm present. And again, it can be in a bull way of destruction, or it can be just because there's this big presence in the room. So they say that Martin Luther King Jr. may have been an 8. So you see, if he walks into a room, that presence. So then we come to the response under pressure. Now, the response under pressure is actually a response in general. So the way that I explain the response under stress for any type is how they respond typically in life. But under pressure or duress, we see it clearer because we're focusing on one way of doing something because we know that that's the best way for us. So again, thinking of a bull, thinking of the injustice and the anger and this lens of the 8, there is no surprise again that their response under pressure is emotional truth or reactive. So I call it emotional truth because they share with us how they feel or what they think about something. So they're not going to be telling us they're sad about something necessarily. They're not going to be crying or really sad about something. Now, of course, 8s can learn to do that, which is beautiful. But what I mean is, I don't like that. I didn't like the way you did that. So they challenge or they point out other people's weaknesses through that anger or that frustration. Or, as I said, that why can come out with a little bit of that anger because of the reaction and the emotional truth. But it's also with the good things in life. So if they're really excited about something, they can be really passionate and very emotional. You can see I'm using my arms a lot because when I embody any Enneagram type, I try to express it through that type. And so 8s are very clear, cutthroat, and they say, I like that, I don't like that, what do you mean about that? So they can be perceived as quite, whoa, slow down. And all the reactive types, all 3 of them, are perceived like that. Like they're a bit too much to handle. So the 8 shows it through that intensity of emotion. Finally, about the 8, I just want to say that these people are truth tellers. They tell us what we need to hear. They challenge the system and they protect us. But very often, people actually bully the 8. So very often I hear people say that the 8 is a bully. But I also hear a lot of people bully the 8, which is unnecessary. So the path of growth for the 8 is to slow down and think before they take action, but also to think about all the different aspects of how they relate with other people and how they're perceived, but never to lose who they are. Keep that strength and keep that challenging of injustice, because without the 8s, there would still be a lot of more injustice in the world. It is because of them that our world is becoming more peaceful and freer. And that is also why more discussions are happening now in the world, because they help us make those discussions come to light. They help us talk about the difficult situations. So if you're an 8, what are your struggles? What are your challenges with dealing with other people? What do you think? What do you think about all of this? How do you think it can help you? And if you know an 8, what do you think about 8s? What do you think is their gift to the world? What is their strength beneath the veil of strength? Subscribe below for weekly Enneagram videos, and I look forward to seeing you next time.